Not long before his death, Harry and I headed out for a walk that proved eventful. He was nearly 13, old for a big dog. Walks were no longer the slap happy Iditarods of his youth, those frenzies of purposeless pulling in which we would cast madly off in all directions, my back bowed, fighting for command. Nor were they the exuberant archaeological expeditions of his middle years, when every other tree, hydrant, or blade of grass held tantalizing secrets about his neighbors. In his old age, Harry had turned his walk into a simple process of elimination, a dutiful, utilitarian, head down trudge. When finished, he would shuffle home to his ratty old bed, which graced our living room, because Harry could no longer ascend the stairs. On these walks, Harry seemed oblivious to his surroundings, absorbed in the arduous responsibility of placing foot before foot before foot before foot. But this time, on the edge of a small urban park, he stopped to watch something. A man was throwing a frisbee to his dog. The dog, about Harry's size, was tracking the flight expertly, as Harry had once done, anticipating hooks and slices by watching the pitch and roll and the yaw of the disc, as Harry had once done, then catching it with a joyful, punctuating leap, as Harry had once done too. Improbably, unprecedentedly, Harry sat. For 10 minutes, he watched the fling and catch, his face contented, his eyes alight, his ears alert, his tail a twitch. Our walk home was almost jaunty. Some years ago, a humor contest in the Washington Post invited readers to come up with item one from an underachiever's to-do list. First prize went to win the respect and admiration of my dog. It's no big deal to love a dog. They make it so easy for you. They find you brilliant, even if you were a witling. You fascinate them, even if you were as dull as a butter knife. They are fond of you, even if you were a genocidal maniac. Hitler loved his dogs, and they loved him. Consider the wagging tail the most basic semaphore in dog-human communication. When offered in greeting, it is a dog's way of telling you he is pleased with your company. It cannot be faked. It is hardwired heart to tail, and its purpose is to make you happy. How many millions of dogs and how many millions of people had to love one another over how many millennia for that trait to have survived? As they age, dogs change, always for the better. Puppies are incomparably cute and incomparably entertaining, and best of all, they smell exactly like puppies. At middle age, a dog has settled into the knuckle-headed matrix of behavior we find so appealing: his unquestioning loyalty, his irrepressible willingness to please, his infectious happiness, his unequivocal love. But it is not until a dog gets old that his most important virtues ripen and coalesce. Old dogs can be cloudy-eyed and grouchy, gray of muzzle, graceless of gait, odd of habit, hard of hearing, pimply, wheezy, lazy, and lumpy. But to anyone who has ever known an old dog, these things are of little consequence. Old dogs are vulnerable. They show exorbitant gratitude and limitless trust. They are without artifice. They are funny in new and unexpected ways. But above all, they seem at peace. This last quality is almost indefinable. If you want to play it safe, you can call it serenity. I call it wisdom. Kafka wrote that the meaning of life is that it ends. He meant that for better or worse, our lives are shaped and shaded by the existential terror of knowing that all is finite. This anxiety informs poetry, literature, the monuments we build, the wars we wage, the ways we love and hate and procreate, all of it. Kafka was talking, of course, about people. Among animals, only humans are said to be self-aware, enough to comprehend the passage of time and the grim truth of mortality. How then to explain old Harry at the edge of that park, gray and lame, just days from the end, remembering, rejoicing, experiencing what can only be called wistfulness and nostalgia? I have lived with 8 dogs, watched 6 of them grow old and infirm with grace and dignity and die with what seemed to be acceptance. I have seen old dogs grieve at the loss of their friends. I have come to believe that as they age, dogs comprehend the passage of time, and if not the inevitability of death, certainly the restlessness at the onset of their frailties. They understand that what's gone is gone. What dogs do not have is a sense of fear or a feeling of injustice or entitlement. They do not see themselves as we do, as tragic heroes battling bravely against the pitiless onslaught of time. Unlike us, old dogs lack the audacity to mythologize their lives. You've got to love them for that.
Hey.
Nice.
Yes. Good.
Well done. Well, I can certainly identify with the pimply,
The essay-
wheezy, lazy, and lumpy.
The essay goes on much longer than that, but that's
Mark,
where I'll leave you at.
can I interject for a second here? Sorry. Can you turn my screen sharing on? I'm locked out by you.
He likes to torture people.
How do I do that?
Who was speaking?
That was Trevor.
That's Trevor.
Trevor is here in behest of Tim, doing our technical genius.
Just for our stream, I'm trying to get your pretty faces up here too. We've seen too much of Bill.
We have, yeah. Bill's not that exciting tonight.
Cheers. What did you ask me to do again, Trevor?
The screen sharing.
Yes.
It should be right at the bottom center of your screen.
Sure.
And you should be able to add screen sharing on any one of your hosts.
I don't know whether that did anything.
Let me try. No, I'm still disabled by
Back to
host.
meeting.
Maybe if you just up on
When I click on that, I get host disabled participant screen sharing.
Multiple participants can share simultaneously. I haven't actually received a request to join the meeting from you, Trevor.
Oh, that's strange. We're on and going.
Normally we, oh yeah, sorry, sorry, you're up there. Oh, sorry.
He's in the participants list.
Right, got it. Yeah, sorry, I don't know what to do. I've hit the share screen button.
Okay.
If you go in the top right corner, there's a thing called View, and it changes from a gallery to a single shot. So maybe you're on single shot or something. Whoever's talking takes up the whole screen.
Yeah, no, that's a good view. I just want to get all you guys onto our stream, onto our YouTube. I've just got a still picture of Bill here.
I think when I've seen it cast live before, it's only the person who's speaking that's on screen.
Well, or we've chosen the multiple image screen as well.
There's the gallery view or speaker view.
Oh, okay.
Okay, here we go.
Well, you just did something.
So now you should see my whole computer here, maybe.
Yeah, we did.
Huh. Okay, how do I put it into a window?
Oh.
Okay, I'm gonna stop that. We're getting a delay.
Sorry.
Oh, that's Bill.
I'll just leave mine off. We don't need mine.
There we go. Okay, carry on, guys. Sorry.
Okay, thank you for your patience, gang. How about Biron Miller? Is you out there, Byron? You
Oh.
ready?
Okay, testing. Can you hear me if I talk like this?
If you
Yes.
speak in
Okay.
English.
Well, first of all, hi, nice to be here. I've been here for a while. In that piece you read, Mark, the Washington Post humor contest was mentioned. So I don't know, can anybody read what this says? Or is it backwards?
Nobility.
Nobility.
Nobility. This is an honorable mention I got for, well, this is a fridge magnet that I got sent by the Washington Post for an honorable mention in
Hey.
one of those word contests. That's my most recent one.
Yay.
And I'll tell you what I got that for. The contest was to do song snippets. You had to take the title of the song and remove one or more consecutive letters from within the title and come up with a new title and then sell it with something afterwards. So the one I got the honorable mention for was Papa Was a Rolling Stone. And I took out ST and it became Papa was a 1, but go figure, Mama was a 10. And I got an honorable mention for it.
Hey.
And my nobility sticker.
You deserve it.
Yes.
Okay. Well, okay. I don't know why I always get nervous when I do these, but okay, nothing too profound today. Just to, for a counterpoint, it's gonna be silly. So another one of these word contests, they said, come up with a short bit of doggerel describing any new words that went into the dictionary in 2020. So one of the words that went in was zonky or zedonk, which is, what they call the hybrid of a zebra and a donkey. So I just scribbled this down. Was the first zonkey born on some distant savanna? I heard it occurred at a zoo in Montana. 'Twas there that a zebra and donkey had bonked, producing a zygote bizarrely zedonked. So
I thought it was boinked.
well, yeah, I could work on it. Words
That fits.
fun to play with. Donk, but you look up donk or bonked. Look up bonked. Actually, you'll find bonked and boinked. Bonked is in there as one of the words for it. Okay, now very conveniently, earlier on, I think when during the intro, Long John and Bill were talking, and they mentioned something about grabbing things by the horns.
Indeed.
Right? You remember that, Bill?
I do.
Grabbing things by the horns. Well, you're in luck because on another site this last week, the prompt was to make moose the word at the end of a line in a limerick. So I've got 3 ridiculous limericks here that do just that. So here we go. Oh, and the other thing was that, and the theme could be art too. Anyway, so here's the first one. Are you ready? Need a bull who fits tightly, not loose. Size a cow in the mood for a goose. Thinking kosher, no hoods, she traverses the woods on her search for a certain sized moose. All there is to that one.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully the next one will get better. But you can see the horns, like a moose? Okay. It's been said that the artist Toulouse had small legs, but was hung like a moose. Like a tripod when nude, shared some models who'd viewed, till aroused by a shapely caboose. That's the second one.
Thought you said they were gonna get better.
No, it's, I need a challenge here, okay? Okay, last and hopefully not least is, upon eyeing the size of its scrotum, Big Bob said the moose is my totem. There's no other deuce like the pear on a moose. If you tend to agree, you can quote him.
Oh, that's the best one.
Yeah, it is actually. See? Okay, so that's all the the words I love for this week.
Oh,
So
goodness.
thank you very much.
Oops.
Well done. Glad to have you back, Brian.
Yep.
Yeah. and
Really, we are.
We are. We're very glad. All the best in 2021. Did Mary join us, Mark? I can't see the meeting list.
No,
She
no.
didn't. How about Sir Bob? And then we'll get Gord just after Bob. You can come up and get ready. Sir Bob, you there?
Yeah, I can come along.
Could you? Oh, Mark, did
I
you
can't.
find? So hold
My
on.
screen has got kind of funny.
Oh, Mark, did you find any other sharing buttons at the bottom there that might help Trev? We're still the YouTubers are stuck with my ugly mug here.
No.
No. Okay. Never mind. Okay, Bob.
It's like being at the showroom. You want the lights so you can be seen, but then you can't see what you're reading.
That's
So I
right.
got my own light, you see.
So you're in the dark as well, just to get. In the
I'm
mood?
sort of in the dark, but now I've got a light in my lap which points at my poems. So I was going to do prose tonight, fiction tonight, but then I changed my mind altogether and went back 50 years to poems of F.R. Scott, selected poems, the ones he really loved. He was a great poet of the 40s, 50s, and 60s in Canada, in Montreal. And I've read from him before. One woman said she'd even, because of me, she'd gone back and looked up a whole lot of his poems. So I felt good about that.
Nice.
Very good on social satire. He was an activist, a lawyer. Helped found the CCF and the NDP. Good stuff. So here's a few from him tonight. First one, yeah, he spoke French fluently too, obviously, and did quite a lot of translation. This is sort of a strange upside down poem, just to disconcert you, I hope, at the beginning. It's called Time Corrected, from the French of Pierre Trottier. There's kind of a lot of Roman Catholic imagery on it, but if you were a thinker in the 50s in Quebec, I guess that's what you'd be dealing with, and not critical to the poem. Time corrected. So I retraced my steps. I retreated to my birth and rolled back to their beginnings, my family and all my ancestors. I said a mass in reverse, that blood might taste of wine and flesh might taste of bread, that I might return to the name of the Father and never again say Amen. I returned everything I possessed, my faith to the King of Heaven, my tongue to the King of France. I gave back to Rome its hills. I dismissed the 12 apostles. I sent home the shepherds and the magi. I tore down Babel story by story and returned the stone to the mountain. I sent back the dove to Noah and drank all the waters of the flood. I rehung the forbidden fruit on the tree and handed to Satan the sin of knowledge. I took the first Eve again into my side and restored sex to unity. And then nothing remained for me but to give up the first sigh in order to blow out the light, and everything returned to darkness. So here's another one called Degeneration, which refers to the world today, I guess, and also when he wrote it. Kind of what Bill was referring to a few minutes ago. A short poem about degeneration. The first to go are the niceties, the little minor conformities that suddenly seem absurdities. Soon kindling animosities surmount the old civilities and start the first brutalities. Then come the bold extremities, the justified enormities, the unrestrained ferocities. And there's another short one which I think is absolutely up to date, and it's about Trump. See what you think. Trump and the USA, or Trump and you and me? Enemies. Because we hate you, we cannot escape you. We struggle to reach you. Absorbed by your movements, we study your plans. We report every word you say. Though determined to kill you, in destroying you, we mate with you. The aftermath is our joint child. Yeah, think about that. There's one about poetry, but I think I'll skip that for time. 176 is next. Oh, I hate to miss out all those good poems. Anyway, this is the very last one in his book, and it'll be the last one in our little bit tonight. And it's kind of a COVID poem. Caring. Caring is loving, motionless, an interval of more and less between the stress and the distress. After the present falls the past. After the festival, the fast. Always the deepest is the last. This is the circle we must trace, not spiraled outward, but a space returning to its starting place. Center of all we mourn and bless, center of calm beyond excess. Who cares for caring has caress. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Very nice, sir. And his name again, sorry?
F.R. Scott.
F.R. Scott, a Canadian.
Definitely.
From the Quebecois. But not
Well,
French himself.
well, he was English speaking, but he was pretty bicultural for sure.
Right, gotcha. Nice, thank you, sir. And happy season to you and your lovely bride. How's Helen?
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, is Helen well?
Oh, super well.
Good, good. Take more than a pandemic to get that girl down. My goodness. Gord, do you want to come up and share something with us? We have a guest in the room. No, I think Gord's been here a couple of times for the open mics, for the musical open mics, haven't you, Gord? In the last couple of months? Nice, sharing his original songs. So come on up. I'm not too close to you. You'll be all right. And that's okay to use that mic, Trav? You're still on camera, I think. Break up the visuals a little. Yeah, I thought you could probably see with the backlight there. Yeah, it's not easy to read on stage, as you remember. Yeah. Right, yes.
Well, it's Gord.
It's Gord. I said Gord, didn't I?
I know, but I didn't
Oh,
I didn't connect.
You didn't know which Gord. Yeah.
No.
Wow. I'm glad to be here. How's that? Okay? Trev, where'd you go? You okay with using my mic? Just stay still. Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I'll find you there. Sorry for the interruption.
Okay, how's that? I think that's good. Have you, before I start, has anyone heard about the story of the Premier's dog? I don't hear any no's, so I assume nobody's heard the story.
Who?
The Premier's dog?
Nope.
No.
Not me.
No.
Well, one day, the Premier went down to the beach. He often did that, and he took his dog with him, and he's on the beach. And he picks up a stick, and he throws the stick way out in the water. And the dog goes running out on top of the water, picks up the stick and runs back on top of the water and drops it at his feet. And he does this again. Picks up a stick, throws it out on the water. The dog runs out on top of the water, picks up the stick and comes back and drops it at the Premier's feet. There's a fellow standing watching all this, and he says, you know, I've got to tell the newspaper and the TV people about this. It's fabulous. So the next morning, the Premier's back at the beach, and this fellow's standing there, and also there's a couple of TV stations and a couple of newspapers. The Premier picks up the stick, throws the stick way out on the water, and the dog runs way out there, picks up the stick and brings it back. And the Premier does it a second time, throws the stick out, the dog runs out on top of the water and comes back and drops the stick. And the next day, big headlines in the TV and the newspapers, it says, Premier's dog can't swim. Just a little comment on news media. Anybody here from the news media? Well, I'm going to read a little bit from the works of John Merlo. And it's he goes into a wine cellar. And there's a fellow there, Altononio. And the writer says, Alto, do you know what you have here? How did you discover this? Another pour, please. It will go a long way to help the writer understand the complex experience. He poured, but did not refill himself. You are pleased, Gianni, he said. Will you try just one more? Alto poured and I tasted. Alto poured and I tasted. Alto poured again and I tasted. I thought I stared at Altononio, whose smile seemed now ever widening and deeply off to one side, and raised my then voices a long way off and muffled. From where? Was that Osmondoleo? Who was he talking to? Not to me. In my hand a flute, empty but for dregs. How did it get there? Why did it get there? I sniffed. Flavanines of oleander touched my memory of her song, Oleander. Where was I? Why was I reclining, resting on one elbow? The voices argued, perhaps. One sounded like Osmondoleo. The other seemed familiar, too familiar. Yes, it was Altononio's. Was he speaking Italian? Was Osmondo? My mind strained. Where am I? My mouth said to me. Walls of stone and mortar stood close about me. Hello? Walls? I thought. They were rough, cold. My head ached. But no matter, because I could make no sense of it, of where I was. In one corner, on a small septagonal table, a candle holder held a broad candle, and its light wavered and danced upon me and my surroundings. Hello? Hello? Can anyone hear me? But still, just voices over a hill and far away. A dampness loomed, and I was glad for the candle. I moved closer to it and stared at it, mesmerized. Then I mumbled out again, causing my head to throb. Strange shadows glided about the walls, rising, dipping, and rising. Then I felt rather than heard a soft moan. Was that me? Something touched my left elbow. I turned and looked into the candlelight to see an impish, elfin being in a three-cornered crimson hat, velvet blue shirt, and saffron pants. The illusion startled me. "Do you know where you are?" said a voice no bigger than the vision. "No," I shook my head, bringing another throb. "No." "Well, then you will find that far corner interesting." Then the impish, elfin being in a three-cornered crimson hat, velvet blue shirt, and saffron pants grinned and slowly melted into shadow. What? Was I hallucinating? Wandering the crevices and fissures of where? Were visions now masters of my consciousness? Peering into dim light, I searched the door or window, bearing or handle, latch or portal, escape or flight. The corner? How far was the corner, did the imp say? I fixed my eyes again on the candle, holding for a moment its comfort, then stared into the darkness of the far corner. Was that a form there in the dark? A form of what? I crouched along over 9, perhaps 10 feet, and stretched my eyes to the shape. It felt round, possibly wood with a metal edge. Sliding down the form, my fingers found metal bands. I crouched back to the table, picked up the candle holder, and lifted the light, chasing shadows down the wall, and returned to the far corner. The darkness scattered, revealing a small wooden barrel, a cask, as it were. Again I touched it, fingertips savoring the rough wood and the edge of metal. Half a foot or so below the top ran a horizontal line of faded lettering. I knelt to see better. Cut into the wood, letters held the dust of long years since the craftsman hammered his type. As I rubbed them, dust gasped and drifted into the light's edge. More rubbing, then more dust, until the outlines of the lettering began to take definition. I gave it a long, purposed wiping, and the letters cleared. Amontillado, 1846. Amontillado, I whispered. Amontillado? I noticed on top of the desk, the cask, another line of faded lettering. I rubbed it, and again dust floated, revealing a faint inscription. Remember Fortunato. Remember Fortunato? Fortunato? Who? Then a voice. You are the renowned John Merlo, are you not? Again the tiny voice of the elfin being of the candlelight. Standing this time by my right elbow, he smiled a crooked elfin smile on his wee elfin face. You write wine, do you not? You make and break vintners, do you not? You cast off precious vintages as simply rotted grapes, lest your palate be seen to vouchsafe to praise. The Creator himself you would dismiss as a poor inventor and husbandman. Such are his vines and his fruits to you. You sit in judgment as vintners die in anguish while you skewer and burn their labors because you cannot bear this little nuance, that little undercurrent, this hint, that amusing bubble of tomato or olive. Or perhaps even, dare I say, memoir of Amontillado. I, retorted I, becoming annoyed at such accusations by a mere imp. I am a wine writer, not a wine maker. I do not foist upon the unsuspecting wine gallery browser or novice of enology a panoply of purple descriptors in an attempt to set my wine upon a pedestal, plead upon my family's rise from ruins for you to buy my vine, or sire my musts as companions to greatness and my villa as a heavenly source of some angelic elixir. Nor, sir, do I pretend to have a charming wife attending my side as I pour an aged indignity for the trusting palate. No, my tiny, I have not drunk all the good wine, although often I have tried my utmost and can tell you that bad wine is ubiquitous, and I calls them as I tastes them. Ha! Replied the minuscule creature with the minuscule voice. You are merely a drag, a coiler of words, a molecule of vinegar as well as a wanting master of insult. Do you know how many vintners you have driven to refuge in asylums by your reckless petty cheek of haphazard analyses carved by the politics foisted upon your own nose by your own tongue, upon your own immature palate by your own jealous larynx? Do you recall one Jamie McClappin, a vintner worthy of the medallion of St. Venus? How you brought his entire estate to the brink of shame and self-destruction with one pronouncement? Your one pronouncement, remember thou, sir, thy judgment? You said, when this wine wins second prize, gutter wash will win first. I bethought, how knoweth he that? And what about William Culduthel? Who is William Culduthel? I verged on shouting. The imp said, my friend, William Culduthel, the English vintner in Italy, whom you called an imitation Italian because he pronounced the CH in Chianti as the SH in sherry. How many, Merlot, have you run upon the sword of cultured examination, tending to your own ego? This prankstering puck could prattle. How many, he prated on, have suffered dishonor, shame, ridicule, and merciless cajoling in market squares because you cannot tell a Burgundy from a Chloé Pichon, a Fin Simple from a Rouge Matin? Are you afraid, Signor Merlot? Afraid? Afraid? Well, how many wines have you tasted, O great impish one? I rejoined. How many afternoons have you lain in feigned recumbence in cellars, from Yukon to Alto Vero, from Zofin to Bistra, from Bitumont to Bingwara, from Letz to Spitzbergen, indulging this or that Signore Uomo degli Angeli in his overwrought, overlabeled, overcentralized sluge, while his three daughters pluck unforgettable on zithers to seduce you, while you hold back a flood of emesis. Ha, indeed. Ha, and double ha, you uncivilized boor, the tiny man concluded his harangue and faded into shadows. Hey, you, I yelled after him, don't think you can just go and fade off when it suits you. Who are you? Tell me. I tell you, who in the name of 1884 Chianti are you? I calmed myself while the stone walls pondered the words of the imp. Then I roared out a few more bon mots. What in the name of Moet Sauvignon have you been drinking? And they echoed, oh, my words echoed on the cold stone walls. Gianni, control yourself. Stop thrashing and come to your senses, man. A hand clasps my arm, cool splashes on my face. A miank of what? A 30 to 35-year-old Scotch. Hesitates at my lips, fingers squeeze my nose, a sharp yet mellow Uscabea pours over my lips and into mouth, spilling onto neck, dribbling inside shirt, stopping short an inch, or for the imperially impaired, 2.54 centimeters below my navel. Blink, wheeze, focus. Osmondo and Altanonio stand over me, musing and amused. Gianni, are you with us, man? Boy, man, Aldo tells me you have had great difficulty holding back the reins, as it were, proving all the good wine, eh? That is what makes men of us, is it not? And Gianni, you mumble of Fortunato. Who is Fortunato, and who is this perverse imp? The eyes of Altanonio search me, as if wise or seeking wisdom. His lips smile, then form an unmistakable Poe. That's it for Merlot today. Merlot. Thank you. Oops.
Thank you, sir. Going out in the rain and sharing on this foul night. And hope to see you back in 2021. The open stage, musically, poetically. Who else have we got out there? We got Mr. Hadfield, all the way from Victoria. John? Oh, is John still with us?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
still there.
Okay.
It says my internet connection is unstable, so I don't know. You guys keep flipping in and out, so I don't know if it's a good idea for me to read.
Oh, sure it is. Between you and Mark, I'm sure there's some stability there somewhere.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Try.
I'm gonna follow in Bob's footsteps for a start with all I've been writing lately is songs. So see if you can figure out who this one's about.
You're going to give us a dramatic reading of your songs. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one's called Love's Crying in Shame. The world is adrift, sad in a sea. Some people acting so selfishly. Righteous leaders, but only in name. The captains obsessed with fortune and fame. People are hurting, can't get no relief. Look up to heaven, but it's beyond belief. How much more of this suffering and pain? Since when did love become the crying game? Time will heal our wounds, they say. They needed healing yesterday. We're out of the pan and into the fire, fanning flames with burning desire. Traded your freedom for a con man's name, looking for someone else to blame. And you can't see love crying in shame. No, you can't see love crying in shame. People are dying and we can't be there. And now you're relying on thoughts and a prayer, so empty and hollow. Who do we blame when love retreated, crying in shame? The scorecard signed, no more mulligans. This round is over, you fucking Republicans. Out of the pan and into the fire, fanning flames with burning desire. Traded your freedom for a con man's name, looking for someone else to blame, and you can't see love crying in shame.
Yeah.
Yay! That's all I have to say about that.
It's good.
And I found something, I don't know when I got this, but I was thinking about doors and windows.
That was a pretty intense song about Deb. Oh, my goodness.
Did you hear that, Bill?
Yes, sorry. That doors and windows. Yeah, carry on.
Oh, yes. I had a conversation with a doppelganger today, and it got me to thinking about doors. I wondered what others had thought and written. Look on every exit as being an entrance somewhere else. Tom Stoppard from Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. The man who comes through the door in the wall will never be quite the same as the man who went out. He will be wiser, but less sure, happier, but less self-satisfied, humbler in acknowledging his ignorance, yet better equipped to understand the relationship of words to things, of systematic reasoning to the unfathomable mystery which it tries forever vainly to comprehend. Now, as Aldous Huxley from The Doors of Perception. A very little key will open a very heavy door, says Charles Dickens in Hunted Down. Shape clay into a vessel. It is the space within that makes it useful. Cut doors and windows for a room. It is the holes which make it useful. Therefore, benefit comes from what is there, usefulness from what is not there. That was Lao Tzu. Don't fight the doors you are led to. Take a deep breath and go through, said Lewis Carroll. She had always lived her best life in dreams. She knew no greater pleasure than the moment of passage into the other place, where her limbs grew weary and heavy, and the sparkling darkness behind her lids became ordered and doors opened. When conscious thought grew owl's wings and talons and became other than conscious. That was John Crowley. And one more. I'm learning persistence and the closing of doors, the way the seasons come and go as I keep walking on these roads back and forth to find myself in new time zones, new arms with new phrases and new goals. And it hurts to become, hurts to find out about the poverty and gaps, the widow and the leavers. It hurts to accept that it hurts, and it hurts to learn how easy it is for people to not need other people, or how easy it is to need other people, but that you can never build a home in someone's arms because they will let go one day and you must build your own. Charlotte Erickson from Another Vagabond Lost to Love.
That's such a good title. Oh,
I'm
Good
done.
collection.
what?
That was a good collection. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
That was it. Did you ever see Rosencrantz and Guildenstern performed?
I actually played Rosencrantz one time.
You're shitting me.
No, I wouldn't shit you about that.
That's a huge role. Well, quite a good play. You've got to be pretty darn sharp and snappy to make that one come off. How did you do?
What's that other existential with Bobo and
Oh, yeah.
Waiting for God? That one.
What?
Waiting for Godot.
Oh, Waiting for Godot. Yes.
Yeah.
And you played Godot, did you?
I was the guy. Which one is? Oh no, that was Rosencrantz. Where they were flipping the coin all
That's
the
right.
time,
That's right.
and it just kept coming up heads. I was the guy flipping the coin.
I just can't picture it. How did you do? How old were you?
Oh, I'd rather not say, Bill.
Well, it wasn't a, you know, okay, never mind.
No,
Where
it was a
did
while-
you do
It
it?
was a while ago, you know. It's not every day somebody asks you to play Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
It's a heck of an opportunity. All right, where were you and which company did you do it with?
It was in school, an A
Nice.
school.
Right. Wow, that's exciting. And why did you give up acting?
I'm still acting away, Bill. I still haven't decided who I am yet.
Good answer. Good. That was very truthful. Thank you. And thank you for that collection. That's an apt collection in view of the year that we've had and looking forward. Nicely done.
Can I just ask a question?
You sure can.
Is Charlotte Erickson someone you know?
Well, I wish I did, but just, you know, I know her only by name.
Oh, okay.
Why, do you know her?
I have a friend named Charlotte Erickson, so I
Oh,
was wondering if, and she lives in Victoria.
And she's an author, S?
Well, she's been known to do a little writing, but I don't think she's really published anything. So
Oh. Doppelgangers. I started off saying doppelgangers, so maybe it's Charlotte's doppelganger.
maybe.
Hmm.
I saw an article. They said we all have a twin. It's inevitable, given the way everything works. Somewhere in the world is somebody that looks just like you.
Spooky. Well, Kath, you've seen the nature of it. Do you want to dip your foot in the water and read something? You see that often we're reading things by our favorite authors, and as well as some original material. Have you got anything laying by the table there that you want to share with us?
No, I don't tonight.
Okay, no pressure.
So
Well,
how often do you meet?
once a month, always the last Tuesday.
Okay.
Yes. Well, we hope you'll come back. Mark, who have I missed? As I say, I'm completely out of the meeting now because of my audio
You haven't missed
problems.
anybody.
Pardon me?
You haven't missed anybody.
Oh,
John,
that. Sorry?
the other John,
I know it.
John Mowat. That's right, John.
Oh, sorry, Todd.
Oh, sorry.
Todd.
Sorry, John.
Sorry about that.
I cannot see the names. John Mowat, you with us?
What's
His
he-
middle name is Nobody.
No. Oh,
Oh, that guy.
he's dressed like the Unabomber, that's why.
Yeah, that's what.
welcome, John.
I've calculated that the cost of heating this house in the winter is well over the price of a return flight to Ireland. So
Oh,
I'm not heating the house.
you're kidding. Just so you can save up for your flight?
Yep.
How many layers of clothing are you wearing?
Well, just whatever it takes.
Wow. Jeez. Well, that certainly. So a monk-like existence. Are you doing
You
a lot of
betcha,
study and prayer?
I kind of like the austerity of it.
Wow,
I'm in training.
that's very interesting. Yeah, you'll be able to. Well, I remember in the Golden Spruce how Grant Hardwin trained himself by swimming in cold waters, and you're kind of doing that, aren't you?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I've been reading a Facebook friend who goes swimming in Shawnigan Lake every day in the morning
Ooh.
these days. So, yikes. A woman.
A woman. Well, they
woman.
often have better
They
insulatory
do.
capabilities. Yeah.
Why don't you
Oh,
just say they're
easy
fat,
talk.
Bill? Yeah, Bill, why don't you just say they're fat?
I didn't. That's not what I meant.
Come on, Bill.
That's not what I meant.
You won't recover from that one, Bill.
No, apparently not. Apparently not. John, you should get out there and swim with her then. What are you going to share with us tonight?
Alrighty, this is, I don't know how this is going to fly. It's something rather different, but, and I don't know how to split screen. I've got this thing set up on my computer, so I think I'm just going to probably turn off my video. And there's my old buddy Bugs Bunny.
Oh, that looks
So
good.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm just going to switch over to the other screen here. Can you still hear me? Can I hear you?
It's
Good.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, thank you. This is pretty much self-explanatory. It's I've just selected parts of a book that's called The Old Way. It was written by Elizabeth Marshall Thomas. It's what I've selected is pretty much self-explanatory, but just to give you a bit of an intro. In the early 1950s, her father and mother and the two teenage children went into the Kalahari Desert in search of Kalahari Bushmen. And so this is an introduction to that wonderful story, which I've greatly been enjoying reading for some time. Chapter 1, 1500 centuries. That's like 150,000 years. She begins by describing the situation. It's in Namibia, Southwest Africa. The Kalahari Desert is approximately the same area as the lower third of British Columbia, like from Prince George on down to the American border. That's the size of the Kalahari Desert. And she said at that time in the 1940s, the map was pretty much blank without place names or topographic features because the map makers did not know any. And in 1950, when my father, Lawrence Marshall, was looking at such a map at Windhoek in Namibia, then a frontier town with unpaved roads, a government official told him that the place he was viewing was the end of the earth. No white person, he thought, had ever been there, and no Bantu person either. Yet that was where my father planned to go. He wanted to visit the hunter-gatherers who were believed to live there, and he was considering the map because he was preparing to take my mother Lorna, my brother John, then 18, and myself, then 19, into that country. But how to get there, where we might find water, how much of the interior was dry bushland and therefore habitable, and how much was true desert and therefore not habitable was just a guess. How we would find the hunter-gatherers was also a guess. Much later, we were to learn that perhaps 10,000 people known as Bushmen lived there by hunting and gathering, and that perhaps 100,000 square miles were more or less habitable for at least part of the year, which meant that the population density, if you can call it density, was 1 person for every 10 square miles. Obviously, we would not find these people easily. Now, this is a book that was written by Elizabeth Marshall Thomas about 2007 was when she finally got around to writing it. Much of it is from her journals when she was 19 years old and a few years older, traveling with her family. But find them we did. We found people who called themselves Jukwasi and were living the lifestyle of our ancestors, a lifestyle of the African savanna that began before we were human beings. I'll repeat that. A lifestyle of the African savanna that began before we were human beings, changing in form, but not in essence, as time passed and the climate fluctuated, and lasting until the last third of the 20th century. That any of us are here at all is due entirely to the long-term culture that these hunter-gatherers, with their courage, skills, and knowledge, continue to uphold. And there's genetic evidence now to indicate that the people of the Kalahari were among the ancestors of all humans. That's my interjection. To me, the experience of visiting this place and these people was profoundly important, as if I had voyaged into the deep past through a time machine. I feel that I saw the old way, the way of life that shaped us, a way of life that now is gone. Also, I feel that I saw the most successful culture that our kind has ever known. If a lifestyle can be called a culture, and if stability and longevity are measures, a culture governed by sun and rain, heat and cold, wind and wildfires, plant and animal populations. Any human culture is a work in progress, modifying as its members adjust to new conditions. But no matter what conditions your environment offers, no matter what you use for language or what gods you worship, or whether your decisions are made by group consensus or by a hereditary leader or just by someone bigger than the rest of you, for those who live in the old way, certain elements never vary. Your group size is set by the food supply. Your territory must include water. The animals you hunt will always be afraid of you, and the plant foods will always be seasonal. So you had better remember where they grow and when they're fruiting. Just going to skim down to my next section here. Chapter 5, The Search. With a Jeep as a pathfinder, a Dodge Power Wagon, and 2 Army 6x6 trucks to follow. Now these 6x6 trucks, they're all Army trucks, 6-ton trucks with 6 drive wheels. Her father was very successful as a businessman in the States. He retired from that and took his family adventuring in the Kalahari for a few years. So she goes through a long list of all of the camping gear that they have with them. And she continues, we begin our search by visiting outlying farms through our interpreters. We interviewed Bushman farm workers, and we found 2 who agreed to go with us. It was the month of July and winter was starting, dry and warm in the daytime, dry and very cold at night. We left the last farm on a cart track that we followed into the bush until it vanished. Then we went forward, plowing through heavy brush, gliding over sand dunes. In about 3 weeks, we had traveled 200 miles. They traveled for something like 2 or 3 months. I forget exactly how long before they came across any Bushmen at all. They covered like hundreds of miles of territory and couldn't find any Bushmen. Her mother wrote in her journal, we are making a 200-mile trek through country in which there is no water. Okay, sort of get down to my next, right. Oh shit, I already looked at that. Sorry, I'm just trying to.
Have to bleep that.
Yeah, right, all night with it. There we go, okay, was this, as we went, we looked for signs of people. The following is from my diary. This is Elizabeth, the author of this book at age 19. It was very cold last night. The south wind blew from the Antarctic all night long, sweeping the haze out of the sky, leaving the brilliant, hard white moon. We moved on shortly after dawn through this gorgeous, dry, rolling belt. By little forests, over outcrops of rock, we went through valleys and burned areas and over plains so long you could see the trees in the haze miles away. She wrote, "It is very quiet and lonely here. We called for people, but there was no answer. We have searched through about 100 square miles of belt, and tomorrow we will search some more." The water holes of the Kalahari are far from obvious. As it turns out, they are really just holes, most of them. Wherever we went, we looked for signs of water. A source of water would not only have helped us to replenish our supply, but also would show us that we were in an area where we might find people. All right, on to the next. Geez, come on. All right, they settled into a camp, and then she says one evening, two Jukwa people, a man named Kwai and his wife Kushi, walked into our camp to see us. This is the first sign that they'd had of any local Bushmen, just this young couple who came. That evening, Kwai sat on his heels at our campfire, his hands cupped under his chin to shade his eyes from the firelight. From this shadow, he watched us politely for a moment, waiting, then spoke through our interpreter to say that his wife, his family was at another permanent water hole off to the north. He was going to go with her, and he offered to lead us there. We were encouraged. These two young people were clearly of the old way, very much the hunter-gatherers. Each just slightly more than 5 feet tall, they were brown-skinned, short-haired, slender, strong, and graceful. They had come in single file, the man first, and they stepped carefully. When they sat down, they sat on their heels, knees up, legs tightly folded. Both were barefoot. Kwai wore a simple loincloth made from a soft piece of leather, nothing else, nothing more. Kwashi, his wife, wore a small leather front apron, a small leather back apron, hair ornaments made of ostrich eggshell beads, and a large leather cape over her back, tied at the shoulder and around the waist to form a pouch, where, as we soon noticed, a baby was sleeping. The baby, about 18 months old, wore a little necklace, a leather string with one bead. We were grateful that they were willing to guide us. We gladly accepted their offer. They stayed for a little while, then stood up and left us quietly as they had come. And as we were packing our trucks in the morning, they came back with their things. Kwai brought a hunting bag, the cured skin of a duiker tied off at the neck, open at the rump, with the forelegs tied to the hind legs as a double shoulder strap. In it were a short spear, a bow and a quiver of arrows, and a pair of fire sticks. His only child, the baby boy, rode astride his shoulder, holding onto his head. His wife walked quietly behind them, carrying a digging stick, just a long, straight, peeled branch sharpened at one end. As she passed, I glanced into the pouch of her cape and saw the most wonderful things. 2 blown ostrich eggshells, still beaded with drops of water and stoppered with plugs of grass. These were her water bottles. And then the writer Elizabeth goes through a long list of all the equipment and supplies and camping gear, tools, and their replacement parts for their vehicles, and just a great long list of all of the stuff. And then she wraps up this section by saying the Jukwazi, these two people, had sticks, skins, eggshells, and grass.
Nice.
So sticks, skins, eggshells, and grass, and that was all that these people needed. And evidently, for the last 150,000 years, that was all these people had needed to live in the Kalahari Desert.
Amazing. We could
So,
learn from that.
This is just a wonderful story. As she said that she felt like a step back in time. I've been reading in archaeology, very interested for some time now in human evolution. And as I'm reading this story, I really felt like I just had a journey, a glimpse, some insight back into the origins of our species as human beings in the Kalahari Desert in South Africa generally. It's just quite a wonderful story. And her mother, Lorna Thomas, if anybody's interested in more, her mother, Lorna Thomas, it's Lorna Thomas Marshall. Oh, yeah, it's either Lorna Thomas or Lorna Marshall. It might be Lorna Marshall. Yeah, Lorna Marshall is her name, the mother's name. She has a film that she made in a camp with the Bushmen. She became very highly regarded, even with no training in anthropology. She, just because of her natural talents in understanding and being very sympathetically with these people, she became highly regarded as an ethnographer, even in the professional community of anthropologists. And she's created this wonderful short film. I think it's something less than an hour long, maybe 45 minutes or so. and it's under her name, Lorna Marshall, and it's called First Film, and it's available through the Vancouver Island Library as a download video, and it's a very intimate and realistic portrait of these people in the camp, in a very temporary camp that they set up while they were doing what they usually do. So anyway, that's my story.
Thank you, John.
Highly recommend it. The book is called The Old Way by Elizabeth Marshall Thomas. I've been reading it I keep going back to it. I just love it. And it's also available on audible.com. So you can listen to the author actually reading her book. And it just seems so wonderful, intimate and personal to have that experience of her telling the story of their time among the Bushmen of the Kalahari.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
That's wonderful, John.
Love
Is the book available as a book
Yes.
at the library?
I presume so. I have a copy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's called The Old Way, Elizabeth Marshall Thomas.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lovely eclectic collection of readings for the end of the year. Thank you, everyone, for
Where's
being
William?
there. Sorry?
Bill?
There.
Who?
He's struck with awe.
Yeah.
Bill's just sitting there.
Who?
Dumbfounded.
Seems like
Did I miss somebody?
Not Bill.
I'm not dumbfounded. You can't hear me now?
I don't know what to do. It seems like he's muted right now.
Oh, you can't hear me.
Oh,
Are you talking, Bill?
I'm talking, yeah.
I can hear Trevor.
I've tried.
We'll be here all night if he doesn't show up.
I don't know,
Trevor?
Bill used to have his own little patch, and now it's not here anymore.
Trevor, do you want to say goodnight and thank
Moving
you?
his hands.
I mean, like Billy's iPhone, you mean?
Okay, so since Bill's not doing his job,
Oh.
I think that
He's unmuted. He's muted. That's the trouble.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything to him.
Right.
Mute yourself. Unmute yourself. There you
There
can.
we go.
Oh, there. Now can you hear me?
There you are.
Ah,
Very funny, Primer. I'll get you for that one. You give a guy a little bit of power,
You know what that is, Bill? That's a coup d'etat.
let him help you a bit, and he tries to take over. It's terrible. Terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was just going about
Hey, Bill. Hey, Bill.
shh, quiet now. I was just going about to thank you all for
Bill, you'll have to unmute yourself.
press your lips together. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
He's on strike.
You can't hear me. Oh, sorry. Trevor will say goodnight because I apparently am on. My audio's gone. Trev, do you want to say goodnight?
We can hear you.
Your audio's back on.
Oh, it's back on now. He's just being cruel.
I will say goodnight, though.
He's just being
Bill.
cruel.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely, okay?
It really does, Mark. It really does.
There's only one microphone I'm muted tonight,
Oh, okay.
and that's the one we needed.
Oh, well, thank you, everybody, and thank you for the entire year of gathering and reading, and look forward to seeing you in 2021 when humans will be humans again or something.
Hopefully.
Thanks to Trevor for figuring out the logistics this evening, and hello to Ted in Ontario, visiting his dad and his family. And thanks as ever to Longevity John and Georgia for keeping this place open. Yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
Hey,
We'll see you all next month on the last Tuesday, if not before.
If I could put in a little plug, if I may.
Sure.
I
maybe.
think it was Long John who posted something on Facebook today, and I forget which city it was. It might have been either Toronto, maybe Vancouver. Sorry, I just don't recall. But 20 music venues have closed in the last few months.
Oh, that was
city.
Toronto. Yeah, sad.
And Long John said, "We're hanging on by the skin of our teeth here. So if anybody's got any spare change, throw it at the showroom."
Indeed, that's a good idea. Thanks, John.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Merry, have a good Happy New Year's, and the party's at Mark's place. So
Yay.
if you don't have directions, I'll give them to you.
We'll be right over.
That's right.
Mark, before you go out, can you give us a reference on that dog essay?
Yeah, I think the entire essay, I believe, is available online because I have Googled Gene Weingarten before. Gene, you know what? I'll look it up when I get offline.
Yeah.
And because I'm pretty sure the whole essay is available somewhere out there, because I looked it up years ago, and
Sure.
I forwarded it to you.
If I could chase that, it'd be good. And all those different spellings of Weingarten.
Yeah,
Pick the right one.
because you know you're an old dog too, right?
He's making
I'm a cool
friends
cat,
left
not
and
an
right.
old dog.
He's a cool cat. That's right. How'd it go, Bob?
Okay, Shannon's sending it to me right now, actually, so I'll forward it to you immediately.
Very good.
Thanks.
All the best of the new year to everybody.
All the
Thank
best,
you
everybody.
So
All
much.
right. Thank you
Yeah.
all. Thank you all.
Thank you for letting me sit in on this tonight.
It was great
Good
to
to
have
see
you,
you,
Kathy. I hope you'll come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's fantastic, and sometimes it's
Really
Different.
good.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
See you soon.
Thank you, Bill.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you, Bill.
Oh, are we out? Trev.
No, you're still on screen, Willie.
Oh, no.
There he goes.
There we go. Look at all these hangers on. Oh,
There goes Mr. Kremer.
truth.